All right, Jules. Bayern and Barcelona, obviously the only two teams that have won this competition before.
Indeed.
I think most people would say it is the pick of the round. It's
Yes.
Friday night. We could break this down ourselves,
We could indeed, we could.
or we could turn to a higher power, a man who's been there, a man who's done that, a man who doesn't watch football from the perspective of a journalist or a fan or a player, or indeed most ex-pros, a guy who watches it from the perspective of a coach.
I think I know who you're talking about.
That's right. Stuart Robson, welcome on board. Robbo, Messi is the wild card here for Barcelona. I'm not saying anything new to say that he's the guy who produces out of nothing. If you're Bayern, do you prepare something specific for Messi, and what do you need to look out for?
Well, I don't think you change your game plan in terms of you try and still get your fullbacks going forward. But the big problem for Bayern, and that's when they've got to come alive, is when they've got the ball, Bayern Munich, they've got to be aware, as soon as it changes hands, they're ready to pick up Messi, because he just stays in little pockets of space. And it could be, because you don't want Davis dropping deep to mark him, it could be that Alaba is on the half, almost ready to go into that midfield area to go and mark him tightly, or Goretzka does the opposite. So, yes, he makes himself available. Yes, he's looking at the attacking side of play. But as soon as the ball's changing hands, he's looking at the position of Messi, and he might drop that little bit deep. It might be Thiago. Or Alaba, the other way round, when they're higher up the field, Alaba can come out from his defensive position and go and make contact with Lionel Messi. You don't want a man marking, because Messi will take you and break up your shape, and then it disrupts what you're trying to do. But you have to make sure you're holding midfield player, your centre half have to be aware that when the ball changes hands, you're going to go out there. And I think they also have to make sure that whenever they've got possession, Barcelona, the three players, it'll be Davis, probably Goretzka, and maybe an Alaba, they've got to be aware about when to pass him on. They don't want to go all the way in with him. If Davis goes all the way in field with him, that leaves space for other players to come down there. If Alaba goes all the way into midfield with him, it leaves space in behind. There have to be good communication between those three players to pass him on at the right time. That's what I'd be doing if I was the manager, Hansi Flick, of Bayern Munich.
Robo, it looks quite likely, according at least to the Spanish media, that they will play in a 4-4-2 formation, that Quique Setien wants more bodies in midfield instead of the usual 4-3-3, and in that case that Messi would play a bit more centrally with Suarez up front, that Griezmann would be dropped on the bench. Does it change anything if Messi plays out wide on the right, or if he plays a bit more centrally, or because he moves everywhere and because he's got the freedom that he wants, he actually doesn't change anything?
Personally, I would, if it was me, I'd be playing Griezmann and Suarez in slightly wider positions through inside right, inside left, playing on the high line of Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich play the highest offside line in Europe at the moment, and I'd play Messi anywhere in behind me. He can drift out wide, he can drift into the number 10 area, and he's got to be the player that's playing balls in behind, because that's the way, and I think the only way that Barcelona can win the game, if they play beyond Bayern's pressure, they get it into Messi, and he's going to be the passer, the provider, rather than the actual runner in behind. Griezmann's got to make runs, Suarez has got to make runs. If they don't play with Griezmann, I think it'll be a mistake, because Messi then has only got one player to find with his forward passes, and that will be Suarez. I don't think that will work for them.
Robbo, we talked. We've seen Bayern before. They can do it both. They can press high. They can sit a little deeper. We've seen them do both. We certainly expect them to press high, because teams that have pressed Barcelona high in the past have had success, partly because Suarez and Messi aren't exactly spring chickens with their pace, so there isn't the quick outball over the top. So if you're Barcelona, how do you play through the Bayern press, and how important do players like Frankie de Jong, like Gerard Piqué perhaps passing from the back, or Jordi Alba in a wide position become?
Well, we saw the games against Chelsea where Chelsea weren't able to play out from the back. They tried to and got caught on the ball, and Lewandowski nicked it and went and scored, and it was impossible for Chelsea to play out. Barcelona still have to try and play out from the back, or play through their centre halves into midfield, but they have to be ready to play balls around the corner. 1 and 2 touch, not play square passes, not play backward passes. It comes into them, get on the half turn, play little balls around the corner, and hope that Lionel Messi gets that little bit of space, and almost with his second touch, he's looking to play those runners in. Yes, Suarez hasn't got great pace. Griezmann has got decent pace, and he plays. But as I said, Bayern Munich play a high offside. Sometimes they don't even run back in. They're just reliant on Neuer to step up, and they're trying to play offside off the centre forward. So if those players play a little bit wider and making diagonal runs, it's much harder for them to pick up, and they can get in behind the likes of Kimmich down one side and Davis down the other.
Jules, you wanted the wisdom. Robbo gave us the wisdom. And I invite everybody out there to look for what Robbo said Friday night when you watch a game. See if it plays out that way. See if Robbo's right. And if he's wrong, tell him he's wrong. Anything you want to add? What do you make of this?
Just, I think I agree with everything Robbo just said, of course. I think Frankie de Jong and Jordi Alba, for me, would be the two key players for Barcelona, of course, with Messi.
De Jong had a huge game against Napoli.
He had a huge game, and I think he looked, again, a bit like the players that we saw at Ajax. And if there's one player, with Busquets, but I guess if there's one player in that Barca team that plays a bit deeper than Messi, who can beat that press, who can relieve that pressure that Bayern would put on Barcelona, and then can find space in behind, can create something out of almost of nothing, I think is Frankie de Jong, especially in that form. And again, Jordi Alba, because he will have a lot of space on that left-hand side if he wants to. And I think attacking fullbacks for Barca would be preventing the two wingers from Bayern, whether it's Gnabry and Coman or Gnabry and Perisic or Müller and Gnabry, whoever plays there, would force them to defend as well, which I think they hate doing. So I think tactically it would be a fascinating contest between the two teams.
Yeah, I wonder also if effectively it's going to, given the amount of space that we expect Davies to have, I wonder if it's going to perhaps almost switch to almost a back three in some cases, with the right back tucking inside.
Thanks so much for watching ES.